the X-Men are coming. Hey YouTube, welcome back to SIBZ, West Coast, East Coast siblings. Tonight we are covering Wandavision episode 5. If you want a review of the episode to talk about the main talking points, don't forget to check out our sister channel, The La Quente Ledger. Jeremy over there is going to give you a nice, clean breakdown so you know all the big points. Over here, we are talking spoilers and Easter eggs. And oh my gosh! I'm so excited. I'm going to embarrass myself, so I'm going to apologize in advance. Because, bruh, we're about to get into it. They are knocking Wandavision out of the park or out of the hex. In fact, so much happened that I think we're going to do 2 videos. So stay tuned and I will let you know when we post part 2 of spoilers and Easter eggs for Wandavision episode 5. Tommy and Billy are babies at the beginning of the episode, and Wanda and Vision, but Wanda for sure, is trying to quiet them because they've been crying so much. You know, she's a new mom. She's obviously a little frazzled with twin boys, and she can't do it. Super strange. Then all of a sudden, almost as if when she needed her, she appeared, Agnes knocks on the door and offers to help with the babies. Now, there's a weird scene that happens between Wanda, Vision, and Agnes, and I'll get to that in a second. Agnes was in charge of the babies because Wanda and Vision were talking. She's rocking them. She sprays some lavender over them, which she also says Ralph has to spray over her. Very curious. I wonder what lavender has to do with anything. And while she steps away, Wanda says something to the effect of, you know, she wants the boys to be quiet. All of a sudden, the boys are probably about 5. How did this happen? Okay, they rapidly age, and Agnes says something to the effect of, well, they're kids. No matter how hard you try, you can't control them. And that is the main theme of this episode. Things are getting out of control in Westview, and we know that Wanda is not in control of everything, especially the boys, as when she and Vision tell the boys that they cannot have a dog until they're 10, she and Vision are both actively like, no, 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 don't do it, and bam, the boys rapidly age. This comes up again when the boys ask where their father is because it was Saturday morning a few minutes ago, and now all of a sudden it's Monday and their dad is at work. She tries to explain to them why he's at work, and it's just not up to snuff, and the boys know that. So the boys seem to be realizing that they can control things outside of their mother, which is very curious. And once again, we have to wonder where the dog came from. This brings us into another point, which is Wanda is definitely in control of things that are happening. She is continuously pushing Vision to ignore everything that's happening, and we're going to get into Vision being upset about that in a second. But oh my gosh, when they have the fight, he says something like, you can't control me the way you control them, and she's like, can't I was like, ooh, she cut the show. They started playing the commercial. She was like, nah, I'm done. That's the end of it. And there are lots of moments like that, obviously, in the past 4 episodes, and then they seem to come to a head in this episode. We've got multiple situations where Wanda uses her magic in front of Agnes. She's not worried about it. She tells Vision everything's under control at the end of episode 4. She says, I have control over all of these things. And yet, in the fight with Vision, she tells him that she's not controlling everything in Westview. And I think at this point, it's pretty obvious that while she's not consciously controlling everything, subconsciously and consciously, Homegirl's controlling everything. And this goes to my point that I mentioned last week, that Wanda might be our big bad for phase 4 of the Marvel MCU. There's still a lot of speculation. There's still absolutely potential for Mephisto to be out there manipulating. Agnes is definitely doing something sketch. But we see in this episode that Wanda has a dark side. When Rambeau is talking to the rest of S.W.O.R.D. about her experience in the Hex, she says that she felt overwhelmingly sad and grief, and that is in relation to Wanda's emotions and why she took over Westview in the first place. So Wanda is deeply grieving, and then the scene of all scenes, she straight up busts out of Westview and is ready to wreck shop. That's where she encounters Monica again, as well as Agent Tyler, whose last name I forget. It begins with an H anyway. She catches the drone that Monica sends in order to communicate with Wanda. So we clearly get from this interaction that Wanda does not want to talk with anyone from the outside world. She even says to the director, I'm not controlling these people, you're the one with a gun. She's clearly mind controlling them, but she doesn't want to deal with her darker self. So this busts a lot of theories that the person busting out of Westview with the cape was Doctor Strange. A lot of people thought that it was him, but we now know for sure that that was Wanda. So this confirms all of the theories that we've had so far, is that Wanda is in Westview protecting herself from the grief of losing Vision. We also learned in this episode that 9 days ago, Wanda busts into S.W.O.R.D. and takes Vision's corpse, actively going against Vision's living will, saying that he did not want anyone to mess with his body post-mortem. Now, you gotta wonder if Wanda did all of these things on her own, or if she was being manipulated by a darker force. There's clearly something going on between her and Agnes, because in the scene where Vision is telling Agnes that he wants her to clean her hands and do all these things before she touches the baby, there's like an awkward pause, and Agnes asks her, like an actor asking a director, should we just do that from the top? And it's clear that Agnes knows that Wanda is in control of things. However, it doesn't seem like Agnes's mind is as suppressed as everyone else's in the town. But we know from the trailer for episodes 5 and 6 that Vision touches Agnes's head the same way he touched Norm's head and kind of wakes her up again. Very, very curious. But we definitely know for sure that Agnes knows that this is fake and that Wanda is in control. She even looks a little afraid of Wanda when she says, should we go from the top? And Wanda almost looks angry that Agnes has kind of broken character to ask this question. It's just very peculiar. Nothing like that has happened before in the show so far with Agnes and Wanda. And there's clearly some sort of relationship, because Vision picks up on the fact that Agnes keeps showing up whenever Wanda needs her. She comes in with the doghouse. She comes in to help with the babies. When they're looking for the dog, she pops up with the dog and the dog is dead in her arms. Very strange, very curious. It's almost as if Agnes was her mentor. Now, we know from the theories that Agnes is Agatha Harkness. She works for Mephisto, in the comic books at least, and I think it's fair to say she probably does that in this too. While we still don't know if this has anything to do with Mephisto, there's definitely a power operating with Agnes. Another thing, Vision is compiling all this information, and he finally breaks and confronts Wanda head on. And what's interesting is that he says, I'm sure that this started out as something subconscious, but now it's very clear that Wanda is in control of things. And he tells her, you can't control me the way you've controlled everything else. He says he has no memories of anything before Westview, which is quite horrifying, because Vision had a whole entire life. He was an Avenger, and even before he'd become the Vision, I mean, he was Jarvis. So it's a little crazy that he has no memories, and it's almost like Wanda has reanimated his body. Now, we still don't know how she did that without the Mind Stone, because the Mind Stone was destroyed. Vision also makes another observation that there are no children in Westview, even though in episode 2 we're constantly hearing everyone say it's for the children, but we've never seen any children other than Tommy and Billy. Something to note for sure, because I honestly don't think there are any other children. But then it's like, how can that be that there are no other children in this town that did exist before Wanda took it over? No one had kids? Where are the children? Everything is coming to a head. Vision and Wanda have this, physical showdown of their powers. And I mean, let's be honest, they are quite powerful Avengers. I wonder if Vision's powers have been affected because he's dead and Wanda is reanimating him. There's still a lot of questions about who, what, and how Vision is. What I think is really interesting too is that Wanda says to him, "You've never spoken to me like this before," when they're fighting. And that's true. We've never seen Vision get angry. And let me tell you, homegirl, I love a good fight scene. Vision and Wanda love each other. And so this fury and rage is coming from a place of love, and it's just so good. Anyway, Vision's pissed, and Wanda is pissed too. And all of this comes to a head, all of the information he's collected, this crazy thing that happens with Vision at work. And this was an Easter egg from last week, and I'm totally sorry that I missed this and did not point it out to you guys. But if you superimpose on the wall where they have everyone, the profile on everyone, you see that underneath Norm, they have a little bit of information about Vision waking him up, him mentioning his sister and his father, and then Vision putting him back to sleep. Now, we had not seen any of this in episode 4. So how did people at SWORD know this before it happened in real time on the Wandavision TV show? Very confusing. There's a funky thing going on with time there, and it makes me wonder if director Tyler has something to do with this. It's just a little strange. In this episode, he's clearly turned antagonistic, and we kind of get those vibes from the beginning, but I thought maybe he was just a cantankerous old guy like Nick Fury, but it seems like Tyler has a whole other agenda. The reason I am so excited, like hardcore fangirling, losing my mind in a dorky, nerdy way, is because, ladies and gentlemen, Evan Peters shows up at the end of the episode, and I'm so pumped. Now, you know, we knew that there was something going on because Evan Peters was in the lineup of characters in WandaVision, and you're like, well, what the heck is what? That's weird. And then you also hear this leak that I believe it's the Spanish voiceover dub for Evan Peters released something on Twitter. Why is this significant, you ask? Well, way back when the X-Men reboot happened with Michael Fassbender and James McAvoy and Jennifer Lawrence, in Days of Future Past, we are introduced to Pietrov Maximoff. I think they call him something else in the X-Men movies. He might have a different name, but anyway, he's Quicksilver. Now, this is a whole issue because Fox owned X-Men at the time, but I believe the same year, Marvel had released Age of Ultron with Wanda Maximoff and her brother Pietro, Quicksilver, and the Scarlet Witch. So I remember being a huge legal battle, and they couldn't even use the term mutants because in the comic books, Wanda and Pietrov are mutants. They are Magneto's children. We now have a character, an X-Man, who was in the Fox X-Men movies, now stepping in to the Marvel Universe as the same character. This is you freaking mental. Now I think it's fair to say that without a doubt, the X-Men are coming. I'm super excited. I'm a huge X-Men fan for sure now. You're going to get Wanda Maximoff's iconic line. We're not gonna get no more mutants. We're gonna get something along the lines of, let there be mutants. And they're coming in, baby! Sorry, let me just calm down. So yeah, that is the significance of Evan Peters showing up as Pietrov at the end of WandaVision episode 5. The X-Men are coming. This has huge implications for the bigger Marvel universe, especially because we know Disney has bought Fox. They're not in some sort of shared agreement like they are with Spider-Man. They bought it. It's going down. Oh my Bob. And this makes me wonder if they're going to merge the universes further by adding Michael Fassbender's Magneto, James McAvoy's Professor. I mean, how is all this going to happen? I don't know. Okay, you guys, that is a good amount of what I have from this episode of WandaVision. But as I said, I am going to do a second video because there were so many things that happened in this episode. I'm sure that I didn't cover them all, but I want to get to you guys as soon as possible. So we're going to drop this episode today, and don't forget to look out for another episode later on in the week with more content, more information about what is going on with WandaVision and how this is going to affect the larger MCU. If you like this video, please give it a like. Don't forget to click the bell so you can be notified of my coverage on part 2. And if you want a breakdown of what exactly happened in the episode, check out our sister channel, the La Quente Ledger. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!